In total darkness, where nothing is visible, Haunter lurks, silently stalking its next victim. The Pokédex, Gold version. Haunter has some wild Pokédex entries. Depending on the game, he licks unsuspecting wanderers, especially sad ones, and it leads to anything from constant shuddering to death within the day. Creepy stuff. Haunter is one of my favorite middle evolutions because he's not what my friend, frequent collaborator, and former co-host of this podcast, Jordan, called a middle school version of the first and third forms. I really appreciate that he's got his own unique ghostly design. One of my earliest memories of Pokemon is playing a simplified version of the card game with kids in daycare. I would have been in 5th grade, but they were likely as young as kindergarten. Basically, we would get a stack of cards with no trainers or energies and take turns doing the attacks listed on the cards. Haunter knew Hypnosis and Dream Eater. I don't remember how we handled Sleep in that version of the game, but I remember that Dream Eater was one of the strongest attacks to come from whatever kid's limited collection we were using. Once I got the video game, I was honestly a little underwhelmed by Dream Eater, but it's still a neat idea for a move. I also want to say that I love the way Ghost-type Pokemon were handled in Gen 1. Lavender Town is a perfect mix of melancholy and spooky. I mostly replay Pokemon games muted with a podcast in the background, so I don't often bring up the music on this show. But the theme from Lavender Town hits the nail on the head. To further add to Lavender Town's creepiness, I wanted to pull up that clip, and I totally did not remember the music sounding like that, in spite of the fact that just 30 seconds ago on this podcast, you heard me say that how much I loved the music from Lavender Town. Weird, isn't it? I also really like how when you first enter Pokemon Tower, you need the Sylph Scope to be able to see the ghost-type Pokemon without them just appearing as creepy, generic, literal ghosts. Obviously, that's not something practical for later games as ghost-type Pokemon become more common, but it contributed to the gear-gating, Metroidvania-style feel of that section of Gen 1. The game opening up after Lavender Town is one of my favorite bits in any game. To this day, I love fighting the next batch of gyms out of order. Pokemon was the first open world game I ever played, and for many years it was the only open world game I'd ever played. I wasn't much of a gamer in my teenage years, and when I did play games, they were mostly Star Wars, real-time strategy, or retro platformers. To be honest, my late-to-the-party playthrough of Skyrim in 2015 was probably the next open world game that I had a chance to play. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today. Until next time, don't forget that you are the very best, like no one ever was.